All right, this is Lee Laird from Lee Laird Woodworking, and this is one of the knife blanks that I make, and I end up wanting to get these good and sharp, and obviously I put them in handles and whatnot, but I just, even though I put something out there about how I sharpen these before, I just kind of wanted to go over it a little bit deeper, just having something that's real focused on that. So here we go. I have this little guy here in my original. I talked about the Diafold. That's what this is made by, the DIA company. It's got diamond particles here on this surface here. And so as you can see, it's got a little piece of steel that is flat, backed up by some plastic that just gives us a little bit of support. This is I think it's supposed to be a coarse, but I've had this for over 20 years, so it's more along the lines of a fine now, and so that's how I use this. So after the knife blank comes off of the grinding wheel, I do grind it. It has a hollow grind, which means that there is a little bit of a dish like this from the cutting edge to the end of the bevel. And so it's something that's really not easy to see, but if I can get this thing to focus, let's see if I can do this. Get a little bit better light. Okay. It's not great focus, but it still gives representation here. You can see hopefully see the grooves that are going perpendicular to the length of the blade. Out there at the edge of the blade, you can see a polished edge, and then back up here at the beginning of the bevel, there's also a polished edge. And so this is one that I have already sharpened, but I figured we could still use this as a go-by. So that hollow grind makes it so that you have the very edge of the blade and that shoulder are the only areas that would touch on a flat stone. So it makes it real easy to use it kind of like an index, if you will. And so that's exactly what I do. So I'll hold this way or this way, depending on which side I'm working on. And then I'll use this guy first. Directly after that is finished up from the grinding wheel. So this guy, and I'll use this until I get a consistent, even pattern on both sides of the blade. So after doing that, I move on to this, which is a 4,000 grit Japanese waterstone, a little bitty small guy. This side here I've flattened because it was needing it, and also for this presentation. And I used this guy right here with some water. It's actually flattened this. You can see the coloration of this is dramatically different from what is on this opposite side. This one's dark like this because that's actually metal that's impregnated in there from the sharpening process. So this has been used numerous times. I'll use one section, I'll kind of work my way down, and after both sides are like that, then I'll go ahead and smooth back out, get it flat, and also it just cuts much quicker that way as well. So this is a 4,000 grit. This is a 8,000 grit, as you can see on there on the stone itself. And the other one said that on there before, but it's long gone. Again, this side needed to have some work done on it, so it'd be have a good flat surface to get going. And then, after I've used each of those sequentially, I'll come to this. This is some Tormek sharpening paste. They have a Tormek sharpening system and a leather wheel that you put this on, and that follows up some of the grinding stuff that you can use on their system. But I found that it also works really nicely on just a flat board. I put a little bit on there, and then I will put my finger on here, and I'll feel for both the top of the bevel and the cutting edge. When I'm touching both, it's back and forth on the blade, just like I was doing on the other stones and the diamond grit thing, and it ends up providing a really, really good edge. So I don't know what the actual grit is on this, but this is something that probably in the 1,000 range if I had to guess. So I'm going 1,000, 4,000, 8,000, and the grit on this guy is probably in the 10,000 range if I had to guess. I don't remember seeing anywhere. Now these two, the Japanese stones, you do want to use them with water. That's what I had this little guy for. I always keep them in a little pail of water right there handy, so while I'm doing all the sharpening. Afterwards, I'll let them go ahead and dry out. Doesn't hurt them a bit. These are, if you don't already have something like this, obviously you probably don't, but if you don't, I mean, you can just get a flat little stick. It just needs to be, I like them rigid enough so they're not going to flex on me. But beyond that, there's not anything that's real special about it. As you can probably see on this one, it still has some lines on it from cutting it with a saw. So it's not even completely been flattened by one of my hand planes. This here is one that I made up today. And I mean, it was used for other stuff on this opposite side, so that's just kind of as a reminder. But it's large enough to where I could certainly put some paste down here. Actually, I'll open this up. If I can do this one-handed. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can. Left hand's better than the right. So it's just a little bit of the paste that you would put on, it's not going to run out anywhere, like this, onto a stick. And I like to just kind of spread it out so it's not super lumpy, but again, it's not super critical. And on this, you can just hit it with just a little bit of an oil if you want to make it even a little less viscous, if it is too viscous for you. I'm going to cut away from this. I'll go ahead and make another quick little video to follow this one where I've used that on the steel, just so you can see the coloration change on that stick. But before I do that, this is another possible candidate. If I wanted to have another one, I mean, it's something I could certainly use my hand plane and I could make it so it's perfectly smooth, but it's not super critical for this work. When you're working on something like a knife blade, it's something, especially if when it's hollow grind like that or hollow ground like that, it's really not critical. So this is Lee Laird from Lee Laird Woodworking, and I will try to get that other video up very shortly as well. Thanks for watching.